Welcome to the Silent Hill Ascension pre-show. I am Noah, and I am here with the very dapper, very handsome Eduardo, who will take us through the run of show.
Absolutely. It's my pleasure. The production team's going to put that up on screen for all of you at home. Essentially, you're here, which means you know the pre-shows at 5:40 p.m. Pacific on Monday, Wednesdays, and Fridays. The show, as usual, on weekdays, 6 p.m. Pacific, so that'll be in about 20-ish minutes. We're going to enjoy that together. But after that, we got our post-show, which is going to be Noah and myself. Again, Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays. So, Noah, Silent Hill Ascension.
Yes, so in case you're just joining us for the first time or just you want a refresher, Silent Hill Ascension is a socially interactive streaming series where all of you collectively shape and experience the evolving story together. So collaborate and compete with others to try to make the choices you want. And when each decision ends, that choice locks in as canon. So it's forever locked as canon, a canon story shaped by you, the participating audience, every weekday. So let's throw to the setup scene we have today. Production, if you could pull that up. It's when Krista reveals she knew Xavier's plans and expresses disagreement about the Foundation's future.
Faith? What are you doing? Where's your father? Faith? Faith? Answer me! Faith? I am your mother, and you need to answer me.
Rachel? Is everything okay?
I was looking for Eric and Faith.
They're in the meeting room. How did your conversation with Barbara go?
That's none of your concern.
Did Xavier tell you about Ascension? Did he invite you back into the Foundation? Did you kill him? I know everything that happens here.
So you knew he wanted to kill me? You fucking bitch! You knew and you let me go out there alone?
I had my suspicions, but I didn't know for sure. I promise. Rachel, Xavier gave up on the Foundation, on everything we worked for. It's better that he's gone.
What, so you can take his place?
Whether you believe me or not, I only care about saving this town. You don't have to like me, but I hope you can at least respect that.
Holy moly, we are back. Welcome back. We hope you enjoyed that. So we had a really creepy monster, and we also had like an actual monster. I'm not just talking about Krista. Shade.
No, I mean, like, honestly, with a child like that, do you really want more? Like, that's the thing. Like, you're like, oh, I'll follow. Although, to be fair, Krista did say Faith and Eric are in another room, right? So, I think Rachel's maybe regretting revisiting the Foundation.
Yeah, I feel like she just got almost, Xavier tried to kill her, and she found out about the heralds that basically they are pro-withering. They want the withering to happen. They think that suffering is the way to redemption, which, by the way, Aldous Huxley said that once. Read a book once in a while. But just kidding, I don't read it at all. So we did have a different type of the Radcliffe cult that was revealed to us. And Krista basically told Rachel that, she knew she was gonna get killed. But I love that, like, Faith, like, she thought she was gonna grab Faith and grab Rachel's family and just, right into the sunset with that wonderful new family. And then guess what? Faith puts the knife and she's like, poke your eye out, work your eye out, you know? So I don't know if that's what Krista signed up for. I don't know how good Eric is at morging that it would justify having such a child.
I mean, to be fair, Eric is a much better father than it first appears, right? Because when your child is there with a knife, with, someone else, potential stepmother, it's like, he does that situation with, I think, a lot of tact. We've been like pretty down on Eric, right? The whole orgy, betrayal, lack of backbone. But it's been different. I've actually been a little more impressed by Eric in that scene, right? He's taking his time there with Faith instead of just, kind of running with it. Krista's like, being pretty gun-ho aggressive with Rachel, but I'm sure she's not actually that comfortable about what's going on.
Yeah, she pretends to be tougher than she is. But sometimes the toughest bitches are actually soft inside and cuddly, and all they want is a hug. But people are afraid of them because they wear gloves like this. Just kidding. But Leonardo S5 does say that Faith said to Krista, "Knife to meet you."
Oh yeah, it's just perfect. Like that's exactly how I'd want the child to. You're like, oh hi, how's it going? Don't you want to take your eye out like mommy did?
And even mommy was like iffy about it, she just kind of did it out of desperation, really.
Yeah, no, that's fair. Like a lot of desperation. Although she did upgrade her eye patch, good on Rachel, making sure that like gaping hole is healed. But
yes, unlike the gaping hole in our souls until we find out what we decide today's decision. So production, can you please show us the decision that's closing today? And Eduardo, could you read it for us?
Absolutely, my delight. So this is how will Astrid react to Hagen's worry. So this is in Norway. So the options here as a fate decision are tell her it's worth the risk, redemption, tell her to be careful, suffering, or call it off, damnation. Now, I can look at the decision right now. It does have a rally. Redemption is winning, but not by that much. Compared to the second option, we have redemption at 41% and suffering's at 34%. So it's actually pretty close, honestly. Damnation's like at 25%. But I think between redemption and suffering, the audience is kind of having their pick essentially here. But that relationship, right, between Hagen and Astrid, or Olivia and Astrid, changed a lot.
Yes, Eduardo. I was hoping you would mention that because Hagrid might just happen, it seems. The tension, you can cut it with a knife. You don't even need a knife. Wait, no, a knife? Never mind. You want to cut it with something sharp because it's really thick. The tension is thick. Hagrid might be happening. They are both bonding by their, well, I wouldn't say that Hagen's child is weird like Orson. Like being dead, I wouldn't say it's weird per se. It depends what you do after you die. Yeah, they both have that bond, and kind of like it started like kind of at odds, and they really bonded. And by the way, Hagen is really a beauty. She's really a gorgeous woman. I don't know. Astrid, I understand it. It's lonely out there in the fishing village. It's lonely without a father, to be a single mother to a biting child that disappears all the time.
I mean, violent. Orson's starting to upgrade the range, right? It's not just about the biting now, it's the punching. It's, Faith might teach him a thing or two with the knife, too. Like, fundamentally, there's a lot there, but again, we saw, like, that kind of lingering hug between Hagen and Astrid, and there was a lot, as you say, of tension. Now, the thing with that, right, is that Astrid as a character is really developed. We're going to talk about quickly Fate and Hope, right, where this idea of, like, how in Silent Hill Ascension, as a lot of you in the audience know, right, the endurance scenes, the puzzles, the decisions are contributing to how our characters have their eventual finale, right? Whether they get kind of redeemed like Carl or like Toby, they just die. Now, their fate is decided across the length of the season with this idea that a character's hope needs to be high enough for them to survive a crucial story moment. And that's also changed a lot because, and we're going to talk about this in the post show, but if something we've noticed as well here is very much that while all the characters are kind of on the redemption path, there's very much a difference between the Norway characters. Britt and Astrid have positive hope, although Astrid's hope has gone down a bit. I would watch out if you like Astrid's character. While the Pennsylvania crew, so to speak, not so good. A lot of you, some of it was Rachel at the start, but then you continued to not like her as much. And then Eric, a lot of you in the audience, I know, like to see him fail. So there's this difference where, like, in Norway, positive, all redemption, but Norway positive hope, going to be quite different from negative hope in Pennsylvania, quite possibly here.
Right, and we are going to dive into the character profiles in just a little bit. But yes, everything we do here has an impact, you know. It has an outcome on the characters' fate and hope. And as we said, that's what's going to decide their fate in the end. We saw what happens in a variety of ways. You could die horribly, you could die painlessly, you could just go away.
There's so many options, Noah. I love how all these options of different deaths and runaways you can have. It's great. It's fantastic.
Yes. Who doesn't love, options, especially when it comes to your death? I'm sure, honestly, that's a philosophical question. Would we like to choose our own deaths? Would we not? Drop a line in the chat. Who's your favorite philosopher? Drop a line. But we are ready to look at Astrid's character profile just to see an example of fate. So production, can you please pull that up on screen? And Eduardo, our wonderful guide, will take us through it.
So, Astrid, thank you so much, Noah. Hi, audience. So, again, Astrid here, strong redemption, positive hope. Really kind of on the up and up, so to speak. Things are, well, they're not going okay, but they're kind of okay on the path. Again, one of the things with Astrid is that her top decision was, what will Astrid do with the evidence of Carl's guilt? So that ended up being turned over to the police redemption. Now, there's a question, right, as she gets closer to Hagen, why was it turned over to the police? Because what she was maybe really into solving the mystery around her mother, but maybe there was something else. Anyways, now the most heated decision, though, and honestly, this was across the board, was all the decisions with Astrid handling Brit or something to do with Brit. Pretty much all three of those ended up in damnation. So this one, how will Astrid handle Brit during missing the funeral, was be understanding over lecturing her. And all of those damnation options won because you as the audience really wanted to see that relationship between Astrid and Brit develop. And a lot of you actually also took a shine to Brit. So that's actually something that like warms my heart, that you're like, you know what? A lot of horrible things can happen. Let's make them happen to other people, not these people.
Yeah, honestly, I get it too, because Astrid, for me, it started kind of like, I'm kind of lukewarm about her. And now I'm kind of like, especially since Hallgrid is kind of brewing, yeah? But, which, by the way, a lot of things are brewing right now. We're kind of like in a cooking stage again, where we're turning up the heat slowly, until the frog doesn't know that it's being cooked. So watch out.
That's a way. I was just going to say until the cake rises, but we do very different styles of cooking, so I understand.
And I thought you speak French, but at times, But I'm the one with the frog in the thing. Anyway, sorry, pardon French people, and I don't know. So yeah, that relationship between Brit and Astrid became like the lifeline for us emotionally in the midst of our trauma here. And we are all, I know that everybody kind of bonded with Brit as well. Like that's kind of across the board. I don't think anybody wants her to relapse. And I know like we are like a pro-Norway crew at this point. Like kind of like we lost like our sympathy for the Pennsylvania crew with their foundation business, and we're kind of like Rachel's a bitch and Eric's a bitch and everybody's a damn bitch. But in Norway, we're like, we have some compassion left in us.
Yeah, I like the difference, right? It's like the characters in Norway, essentially, a lot of the audience is like, I want to help them, there's this idea of want them together. Whereas in Pennsylvania, it's like, yeah, let them die in fire and brimstone. Except Toby, which I know a lot of you didn't want to see go, but that was kind of on you on the hope. No fault, audience, as at the start. It's okay. We moved on. We saw as well Michael coming on and speaking to you from beyond the grave, and that was very important. But no, there is that difference really between Pennsylvania and Norway, and that's going to be important because we've seen Rachel and Astrid meet up not once but twice. And there's a question, Orson and Faith, the Lady in the Woods, both of them. There's a lot of little parallels, but. Now that we're like almost near the show, I'm just going to check the closing decision quickly for us, Noah. And Redemption and Suffering are actually neck and neck. It's within a percent point. So the audience has really rallied around the Suffering option, telling her to be careful over telling her it's worth the risk. I know like in the audience, in the kind of before we went live, they were discussing this. Like they want Astrid to be as sympathetic as possible to Hagen's worry. They felt it was like more understanding, and it reminds me of that decision with Britt. It's like they want Astrid to be closer to someone. They want to pick the option that is the closest.
Right, and as we know, sometimes the road to hell or domination or just to death is paved with good intentions. So we're basically keep on choosing domination because it looks like that's the good thing to do. But we're actually killing her. Just kidding. I don't know what we're doing. But we are repeatedly choosing domination because we think it's the right thing. And think about it in your own life, what you are doing that you think is good, but you are actually leading somebody to a horrible demise. But it is almost time for the show. So Eduardo, could you explain the endurance scenes for us?
Absolutely. So as that decision is going to close in a bit, right? We got a couple of minutes, but endurance, that's going to be in a bit. So you're going to have to time your inputs to the actions you see on screen to help our character. You'll see who that character is. Again, if you succeed together, hope goes up. If you fail together, hope goes down. The idea is that if a character succeeds, they kind of go more towards the living side, and if you fail a little bit too much, they might die. Now, these endurance scenes are one of the best places to earn large amounts of influence points. Quite particularly tonight, success or failure really doesn't matter for this, because we do have our development team did want me to relay this to you, that there is a Fate Endurance scene tonight where you're going to be able to choose between Redemption, Suffering, Damnation. Whichever one you choose, as long as you take that part, as long as you take action at that stage, you will get the maximum amount of influence points. So do make sure to at least participate at that stage. Make sure you get your choice in. But Noah, our show is in about 2 minutes. So I'm going to have to leave it to you to recap it for our audience. What can they look forward to? What do they need to know?
So stick around. We have a lot more stuff. As we said, we're brewing here. We had our convergence again. We had like Astrid and Rachel meeting again, bonding over their creepy children who keep referring to the Lady in the Woods and reciting horrible Foundation/Herald poems, really goth poetry, which is, by the way, why I'm wearing the gloves as a homage to the children. So we are about to see some exciting stuff. We will be back with you right after. So don't forget to stick around. We will both be back, both Eduardo and I. We are excited to see what y'all have to say about the scenes that we are about to watch. So get comfy, grab something nice to drink, something warm, something cold, depending where you are in the world, and enjoy.